you get there, and then the parents are all sitting on the sidelines. The ones you're close with, you guys have been chopping it up. Like, hey, we missed you this last weekend, and we'll see you next weekend. Like, we'll see you on Thursday. I don't know.
I know, but you're like fighting these parents, bro. So I don't think it's the same for us. Bobby and I show up and
we sit back.
I never almost fought anyone at a game yet. Josh is like, he still got some left, man.
No. I got nothing left. You know, what's funny is, look, if I was your guys' height, then some of these parents wouldn't try to fight me. But if I was, what are you, 6'3", 6'2", 6'3", you're 6'3", 6'4".
Yeah.
Come on, guys, come on.
But instead, it's like, oh, Kellen's dad. Man.
Yeah,
that guy. He's aggressive.
I'm the most quiet parent on the side.
I've been spending time in the dojo, doing all the things that they won't show. No spotlights on me, no photos, becoming the king on the low low.
Got to win on Saturday.
Gotta win though. It'll be fine. You know, I mean, outside of like this, like, you know, their first fight, I mean, one or two little tiny mistakes, but I mean, you know,
he looks good.
He looks super lean, man.
He's in a good mental place, and he's happy and excited, and I hope.
I saw he laid out like his plan. You know, I don't know what show it was on, but I saw a clip of him laying it out. Like, I get this win, you know, then I fight. I'm the number one contender. I fight the winner of Sarukian Islam, probably Islam. Like, he has it all laid out.
He's in the driver's seat if he wins.
Yeah.
He won on Ariel yesterday, and what was really cool to see, and they posted the clip. He was getting very emotional talking about his dad in his corner. So he gets an extra corner. And, you know, not like it's his retirement fight or anything. He just said he's got a lot to look forward to if he can pull it off. He was getting emotional about having his dad in his corner and just looking back and saying everything, you know, I am who I am today, everything I have, it's all from my family and Jefferson City, Missouri, and just going back and getting really emotional talking about his dad and having him in his corner. He's like, you know, my dad doesn't know anything about MMA. He's not going to tell me. Yeah. He's not going to give me any advice for the fight, but his presence there, and he's just like getting teary-eyed, and it was really cool. And he talked about how he's using that to help him be a father, right? He had a great father, and he's using that, and I think we can all. I was getting teary-eyed myself, like, whoo. Yeah. Dusty in here, you know, just to appreciate that, right? Because not everyone, we all have our different relationships and whatnot, but I think we can all like really appreciate what he was talking about, like at some level.
I think you don't feel that, and I don't know if you feel that the whole time in your career, because fighting's a very selfish sport, but I think with most athletes, like, they don't feel it the most to have family and friends and close people surrounding them until the end.
Sure.
And I'm not saying that, like you said, it's not his retirement fight, but.
And there's some guys that would, you know, as many events that I've been a part of, and you go in the back and you're just seeing everything during fight week. There's a lot of guys that be like, nah, all my close, friends and family, I don't want my dad in my corner. He's going to drive me nuts, right? Or all these distractions. So I could see both sides, because I've seen some where it's all family, and then others where it's like, it's all business. It's no family. So do you bring your family to work? Right? It's
I think it's I don't know, man. Like, I would give anything. I was 26 before I won my world title. My dad passed, so I would give anything to have that opportunity, you know. And I mean, you were telling me that your dad didn't live like you. He didn't. Your parents never really got a chance to come to your wrestling matches, right? Same thing with my dad. My dad was working, you know, Monday through Saturday, and if the match wasn't on a Sunday, like if it wasn't a tournament and I made it to the, you know, the quarters and the semis or the finals, he didn't watch me wrestle.
My family never see me wrestle. All the way through high school, college, nothing. I was winning state championships, national championships, and they never even knew what I was doing.
It's funny you say that, because that's how my MMA career started. They all watched me wrestle, and then I was training, and then I had probably 5 or 6 fights before they even realized that I was fighting. And then all of a sudden, I kid you not, the cousin I went to the Ole Miss game with this weekend, my first UFC fight, I was there in Vegas fighting there, and he just so happened to be there for a business trip. He's like, I saw your picture up in the Mandalay Bay. He's like, and I just called you. And literally, that was like 4 hours before I'm supposed to fight. It's like, hey man, how do I get tickets? I'm like, and they just so happened to be sold out, so I had 2 available, so I was able to get him 2. I ran out, got him the tickets, ran back in, got warmed up, got wrapped up, and went on to fight. But it was my family. Like up until I was on TV, they were like, they didn't even realize what was going on. They're like, what are you doing? Like, you're fighting? Like, what is this trash?
Yeah.
So there was no real, I don't know, there was really no connection there for
Because they
a
didn't
while.
accept it. They didn't.
I don't know if
really
they
look at-
accepted. They just, like, I don't know. That side of the family mainly was like more. It was about golf and tennis and
Right.
And wrestling's not that sport. Wrestling is not. There's levels of what
importance.
hierarchies. Yeah, it was a hierarchy to it all, and wrestling is down here in most people's eyes, and so it was like, what are you doing? Like that. It seemed like that was an avenue to fighting, basically. Like, oh, you're just this tough kid, right? In some takes, yeah, it was.
Yeah, my parents had no clue what I was doing either. 2002, I fought, and then I got into the promotional side of things, and I think they were just happy I wasn't asking them for money. But
Yeah,
it wasn't like, hey, how's your event, or how's the promoting going, or it's just many, many years later they would see stuff on TV, they'd be like, wow, that's pretty cool. I'm like, yeah, we've been working hard, but yeah, I never had that. I mean, they didn't work against me. Sometimes I thought they never worked against me, but sometimes I thought they probably wanted me to do something different, something they understood, or it could be, tell their friends about. It's a very Asian thing, brag about your kid.
wow.
That's because all the other guys I grew up with were like, Ivy League kids and working these corporate jobs, and they had no clue what I was doing. I think they would refer to it sometimes as like karate. It was pretty funny. Oh, you're doing those karate shows, huh? I'm like, yeah, something
For
like
sure.
that.
Yeah. My dad was the same way, because I started wrestling right after football season when I was in 7th grade. And my dad found out about it because my sister told him. He was like, yeah, Bobby's wrestling. And I remember my dad called me and he said, you doing this wrestling thing at school, right? I was like, yeah, Dad, my football coach told me to come try it out because there's no sport in the middle. We didn't have basketball for 7th graders. So it was the only thing I could do, and I was a very athletic kid, so I was like, I got to do something. And my coach told me, come wrestle, come try it out. And I was like, all right. So I came and tried it out, and then I was good at it because I was little. I was really little, but
I
was
can't
very
imagine
athletic.
that.
Man,
I can't imagine that.
when I was in the 7th grade, I think I wrestled 76 and 84.
Ooh,
I went
you were
between
my
those two.
size.
I was tiny.
You were tiny.
Yeah. And then
So maybe there's still some hope for me. I get a little extra footage out of this.
The spurt's coming,
over.
man. It's coming, bro.
I'm hoping.
I was tiny. But so for
Late
me,
bloomer.
Yeah.
50. It's going to come at 50, man.
50, I got
50
it.
or 6 foot tall.
Keep taking the vitamins. It's coming.
Yeah, man. So my dad, they didn't even look. They were like, wrestling. And I remember all my dad told me was, when we start stuff, we don't quit. I was like, all right, okay, got it.
Whatever.
Check. But I guess I understood what he was saying. But I mean, I got into it, and then wrestling took off. And the more I got, I mean, it was dedication. You know how wrestling is. It's dedication all the time. So I was doing everything. And they were like, oh, Bobby's at one of those little wrestling things or something like that. So they never really
At least you weren't in
into it.
trouble, right? In their mind, it was probably
Right.
like, oh, he's
Yeah.
someplace safe and productive.
I think the hardest thing for me is that, like I said, because my dad couldn't go. So when we had tournaments, I had to get permission slips signed to either ride the bus or get a ride with a friend, or,
Yep.
that was probably the hardest part. Because you got to go to your dad and be like, hey, I need to go here and go there. Well, what's it going to cost me? What's it going to, and the buses and everything were all taken care of, but it was like, because it was a school activity, but, telling your dad or your family, whatever, you're going here. I got to go for the weekend. I'm going to Oregon, to wrestle at Tri-State. Like you're having to explain to them.
What's that?
Yeah. They're like, what's in Oregon? What are you doing? Really? Like, who you? Let me talk to the mom and dad. Give me their numbers.
Is this
There was no
legit?
cell phones back there, so.
I didn't feel the blow of it until all the way through. I used to just kind of like I don't say maybe numb it out or something. Because you know, after the season, there's always like banquets and stuff like that, and I would always hang out with my buddies, and it was just no big deal. I think the time where it really kind of got me was like my junior year in college, and it was after I won nationals my second time. We're at the banquet, and a buddy of mine that was my training partner that was a year older than me, he won it too. We just battled it out, and he finally won nationals, and then we were at the banquet, and everybody was like, all right, go sit with your respected families. And then all the others, you guys can go sit over here. Like, I'm the team captain. This is my second national championship that I won. And I remember I was sitting there, and almost everybody's family came except mine. And I was like, ah. And then one of the guys, his dad goes, Bobby, come over here. You can sit with us. You're like all of our family. And for some reason, that was like everything just kind of came to me. I was just like, damn. It was like, even though he was being so nice, it felt like it was like one of the worst blows that he could have given me.
Did you
like a
start
stomach punch. I felt awkward. I felt just like I sat there and I was just like, golly.
Yeah. The only match I think my dad ever watched me, he might have came in and seen me one other time, I can't remember, was my senior night. So we had senior night where there was 4 of us. We were all seniors, and they bring the parents up and they introduced, and he took the night off. Luckily, the match was a late night duel against our crosstown rival. Oh. So he was able to make it. And I was senior, so we didn't wrestle till last. So we were like the last 4 to wrestle. So yeah, that was probably I'd say that's probably the only time my dad ever saw me wrestle.
Yeah,
it was that match.
I think that kind of brings us up to today. Like, that's why I'm with my kids, man. I'm at everything, almost to a fault for me, because sometimes, since I split time with my kid's mom, I try to even get to the practices. Like, even when you're in junior high and stuff like that, they're like, nah, you guys can't come. And I'm like, I'll go sit out on the side of the fence just to see, you know. And I do it, and sometimes with my daughter, you know, because my kids are junior high and high school age, so Miles will have a game going on, and Naomi's like, I want to go hang out with my friends. And I'm like, no, we go support each other. I said, I don't care if you sit in the stands and play with your phone. We're going to be there.
Like, what's your take, though? Like, because we talk a lot about us. We're obviously very active when it comes to, like, our boys, you know, and obviously with your daughter, too. But, like, my daughter, she has a game tonight, so I'll go there to watch her game tonight. But, like, what is it with your wife? What is it with your kid's mom? Like, is she there too at practices? Is she there at every game? Does she, you know, like, do you guys have conversations about how to talk to them in the car? You know, afterwards, like, if something, like, with you, you're splitting time. So who takes them home from the game? Whoever has them that night?
It's whoever has them that night.
Okay. And what's the conversation like? Hey, he had a bad game, or he had a bad match. Like, how do you talk to her? Does she even talk to him about it?
Yeah. You know, it's
It doesn't seem like your daughter loses, so I'm just gonna just
yeah. You know, I think it's really good, and this is just speaking for guys that are in that, you know, mother father kind of household where we don't live together. You know, we work really good. We co-parent really good together, and that's one thing that I got to keep praising her, because we went through a lot of bumps and everything to get to that point. So right now, we understand our roles, even though we're not together. We understand roles. Like, she knows when Miles has stuff going on with football, all she can do is kind of support him. So she doesn't try to take those roles. She's like, you got to talk to him. And she knows, like, with sports and everything like that. And Miles knows his mom doesn't know anything about it. She's like, yeah, that was a great basket. You know, it's like, no, it's football. Just go and take pictures. And so she'll always say it. She'll like, you need to talk to him, because because she looks at it a different way. She looks at it as, I need him to be strong. I need him to be tough and stuff like that. And she doesn't understand, like, what he did wrong, what he did right. She'll send me a video if I'm not there, and she'll be like, oh, he had great. And Miles will say, no, it wasn't great. So she's just at that point of, I'm gonna support him. I'm gonna be that support with him. I'm not gonna feel like I'm worried about him. I'm just gonna say I support him in anything he does.
Do you have that conversation? I have the conversation with my son all the time, because they take this, whatever mom says is like, it's not that as important when it comes to sports, because mom didn't play, or mom wasn't. Yeah, mom doesn't know. She don't watch football. She don't watch lacrosse. She don't watch soccer. Like, she's not into sports. Like, my wife's not into sports. So when she's like, "Hey, you played really well," he's like, "Yeah," and just I'm like, "Hey," I have to like grab him and say, "Hey, we're not disrespecting your mother that way."
Right.
That's one. Two is say thank you. When anytime someone gives you a compliment, I had this conversation with him last night. He had a great tournament this weekend for lacrosse. I dropped him off at practice last night. Was getting ready to walk in with him, and one of the parents literally stopped their car, got out of the car, and said, "Kellen, you played so well." It's the first time they've all played together as a team, a new team. And he goes, "You played so well." He's like, "You're like the energy in this team, man. You're hitting kids, you're scooping balls, you were making passes, like you weren't ball hogging, like you are awesome."
That's great.
And that was coming from a parent. I'm like, I didn't even know who the parent was. I barely know his kid. And my son just for a hesitation didn't know what to say. I'm like, "Son, thank you."
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you so much." I'm like, and normally he's good about a lot of things, like when, things like that. But I feel like when mom speaks up about sports stuff, I get a little bit of that, "Oh, you don't," like, it's almost like, whatever. I don't know if you have that on your side. Do you get it on your side?
for sure.
I told my son, I was like, this is because his mom's on him on everything. Like he's got to eat, and she's cooking for him and everything like that. She stays on him. And I told them both when I was driving home one day because they were like frustrated because mom was just too much. I said, guys, it is way better to have a mom that cares too much than not care at all. And I looked at them both, and they both got it. And from then on, never see. I'm really dialed in with my kids when we talk. Like we do when I say something like that, they actually sit back and they take it in. They're like, "You're right."
Age difference. Like they're at the age where they can absorb that. My son's like, "Okay," and then I'm like, "Son, you better knock it off." Like our boys are the same age, a couple weeks apart. So
yeah, that definitely exists with mom. But I'll give mom credit. She's learning. She's trying. Like soccer, she actually coaches my daughter's team. She's coached now 2 seasons. So that, I think there's a lot more respect for her when she speaks about soccer. But then at the baseball games or at wrestling, she's got all these questions she doesn't really know, but she's trying so hard and just speaks to what we were saying earlier, how we're all just trying to be super supportive. And to me, it's so fascinating as we talk about how we grew up. And this is one of the main themes and topics, right, that consistently carries over every time we gather. It's like how we grew up, and yet I think we're all pretty happy and content with where we ended up without that. Yeah. And now we're giving our kids everything, and I wonder where that will take them. And like you said, I think it's always, I would rather err on the side of too much love than clearly, not enough. But I think about that a lot, because I think there is something to be said about, and they'll have their struggles coming up, but, some of the most successful guys, just people, men, women, when you hear their story, there was a lot of that, the chip on their shoulder. Life wasn't easy. Wasn't great, right? They had that moment at the banquet, right? They had that moment where you were celebrating and you looked out in the stands or whatever, or this big moment and they weren't there. And maybe that drove you and kept you pushing. So I just, like I said, by no means am I saying you pull back the love or we're loving too much, but it's just food for thought, I think. Like, man, look at how we came up, and I'm pretty happy. Yeah, with where I am today. I'm comfortable in my own skin and proud of where I am. But I guess time will tell. You never know. With this, it's a whole different generation, right? It's a whole different way of parenting.
You never know what the right answer is, because I don't know if my parents not being there made me better. I could have some resentment, and I could have been like, "I'm mad because your parents are here and my parents aren't. So I'm gonna smash you."
I wouldn't say it's mad, but it's like I think it was a driving force in practices. Yeah, absolutely. But like you're taking that frustration. Like when I got home, my dad was still at work, man. Like I'd walk to his work, and he'd give me money. I'd go buy food. We'd eat dinner together. He'd stay at work, and I'd go home by myself. He'd come strolling in around 10 o'clock at night, and I'd hear him come in, but I was already pretty much asleep. Wake up at 5 a.m. He'd take me to work. We'd have breakfast together, and then I'd walk myself to school, or friends would pick me up. Like it was that, that was the lifestyle. If I had time in between practices, I'd come home. I'd go to his work. We'd have dinner before practice. I'd go to practice, and then I'd see him, later that night at home.
And you understood, right?
Absolutely, because it was just him and I. We were ride or dies. That was a big difference, though. Is I didn't have my brother and sister who lived with me. They didn't live with me at the time. They did towards the end, right before I left for college, but they didn't. They weren't there, so it was just him and I. So the Sundays, if I wasn't wrestling or if I didn't have soccer games, then then I would see, we'd hang out. We'd either go to the lake or we'd go to the river. We'd go fishing. We'd do something. We'd get out. But
I always understood when I was younger. I used to just, I don't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing, but I kind of justified every kind of behavior of my family, because my dad left us and moved when I was about in 8th grade. So from then on, I was with my mom. My family's from Panama. My mom really doesn't have like an education. Really, English is her second language. So she was working at like a gas station. We called them. It was on a military base. So she.
Do you speak Spanish?
I don't, but everybody in my family does.
Yeah.
Same. So my mom had a kind of hard time with the English language, so she couldn't get a job where she was going to get a bunch of money. Mm-hmm. So she was basically working all the way. She was working like 10 at night to 7 in the morning. Mm. So I was like, man, I'm not going to even press my mom on this. I didn't have wrestling shoes. I had a hole in my wrestling shoes, but she was just trying to keep, the lights on. So I'm not going to talk to her about that. One of my buddies was selling his shoes. We ended up doing some like little odd jobs, moving things. So I bought his shoes. Like I tried to keep everything away from my mom because I didn't want her to feel stressed. When I had to go somewhere for wrestling, I wasn't saying, Mom, I want you to try to find a way to go 2 hours down here. My mom couldn't. There was no way she would be able to get there unless somebody physically came, drove with her, took her there, had to walk her through the whole thing. So I was just like, I'm not going to put this on her. And then when I went to college, that's a whole nother ballgame. Like, there's no way she could have been able to make it there. To a different state, like how? My mom wouldn't have been able to do it. So I justified a lot of things that were going on with my parents. And I mean, just across the board, it's a different generation. Even with my dad, when my dad ended up leaving and he got remarried and everything like that, I was always justifying the situation because, like my dad, I was his 4th kid. He was 27 years old when he had me. I was like, if I was 27 years old with 4 kids on a military salary, I mean, it would be challenging. So I used to justify everything, and you can't really justify things because you want to make them work. But I'm just on the whole other way, Because of that, I try to give too much to my kids, and at times I'm like, am I giving too much? Because it almost makes your kids. I don't want to say it makes your kids soft, but when you go into some more areas like this where there's money and everything like that, these kids, it's a more padded lifestyle. So that's one problem I've had with the schools down here. I'm like, are these kids hungry? Because I was hungry. I wanted to get out of the situation that I was in, and I knew that I had something special in like athletics. So I was like, I'm pushing this to extreme because I want to make something out of myself. I want to put myself through college. I had to do all these different things. These kids now, I mean, it just doesn't seem like they even have that drive. So at times I'm like, man, what do I need to do to be able to get some of that I had and then give him this? Because I think you need this, what he has, like these specialized training and extra, some of these gyms that they go to, some of the camps that they go to. I would have never been able to afford it. So I think there is a huge benefit to that for sure. But just being in the inner city where you really didn't have very much, where kids just went outside and just like battled and played ball together, and they just learned how to play sports because that's what we did, and they were tough. I was like, man, how do you blend the two?
I think that made us better athletes.
100%.
Trying to learn how to, like, you played stickball out in the front yard, right? With a broomstick and a tennis ball.
Yeah.
And you had to learn how to catch because none of us could afford gloves. So you had to learn how to catch with your bare hands. And the faster you ran around the concrete and slid and road burn, all that stuff, like all that was just getting hit and beamed in the head with the ball. Like, they made you a lot tougher. That was one. 2 is you just started to understand the game better, because if you couldn't understand the game, you were out and you guys switched fields and all your friends are mad at you. So it was here. You need to figure it out quickly. What are we doing? What's going on? But we talked about our parents, but like, what about yours? Like, you played volleyball at a very high level.
Yeah.
In sports.
I had a really great high school career. Did really well. Wasn't able to celebrate it as much just because they didn't understand. Ironically, my parents owned a sporting goods store, but so we sold everything for the games. But it's not like I could sit down and break down how the games were going and this. It's different, and I think culturally, I think you can relate, Josh, because your wife's Asian. I know Pete. you know what's up with this, man. Like Asian parents are different, especially that old school, like first generation immigrant. Like there wasn't there wasn't like this connection we have. There were providers. Oh, hey, I'm going to put a roof over your head. I'm going to work for you. I'm going to, like, I'm dedicating my life to you.
You guys weren't friends.
But no,
you weren't friends.
It's not a bunch of come here, son, I love you, and hugs and kisses, and it was just different. But I'm okay with that. Like I understand. Like you said, Bobby, I understand.
Understood it.
What's funny, I'll go online on Instagram, and there's so many of these videos now where there's people like my age or our age, and they're making all these jokes about Asian parents, how they just can't express emotion, and so that's the environment I grew up in. But I always knew they loved me. I knew they dedicated their lives to me. They just didn't know how to. It just wasn't part of their culture. And to even take it a step, to even go back a few steps, like we're talking about the world we live in now. I mean, think about what it was like. We're lucky, man. We didn't have to grow up thinking we had to join the military. Like we had to join the military. Oh, yeah. Like you did it by choice, right, Bobby? Because you wanted to serve. But think about the backbone and the foundation of this country, all the shit that they went through, and why it made this country strong and made tough, resilient people, because you had the Great Depression, you had wars, and we don't necessarily have to deal with those struggles. Like we don't have to think about, man, I'm 18, I got to go enlist, and maybe I get sent off to war. Now we live very comfortable lives. So it's, I know that's kind of taking it to a little bit of an extreme, but it just makes you think like the struggle, the hard times make tough people. And now it's all about, it's it's all about, loving times. Yeah. And I still think that's the way to go, but there's just these moments where I'm like, man, where's this all headed, right? But I came from a house that was full of, it was a different type of love, man. It was tough love, and it was a home that provided.
But did you get it from your sisters? Because you had sisters, right?
Yeah,
you have two?
My sisters, there's a big age gap there. So I was born, it's funny, I was so I have two older sisters, and they're older than me by several years, like 10 plus years, 13, 14, 15 years. So I was like the accident that ended up being, the boy that the Asian family wanted. So my sister spent a lot of time with me, raising me, because my parents were at work. So I did get that from them, but my parents were just, they were great, but just different. And I understand it better now as a parent and as an adult. But I think culturally, there's probably a lot of people out there that can really, right? Different cultures just have different parenting styles still to this day. Yeah,
I've noticed that it was kind of hard in the beginning to break into like the Asian family with my wife. And what it was is that like on my mom's side, we it's all Mexican. So it's Mexican, Native American on that side. They're very loving, very sit down, eat, let me feed you, kiss you. Like that's how that side of the family was. Like, it's all family. Like if you're from the outside, what are you here for? Like it's all family. That's a huge family too. My mom's the youngest of 13. Wow. So it's a big family. So and there's also some that are, not really, they're not even her kids, but we just consider them kids because they were the neighbor kids that we grew up with that my grandmother just pretty much helped raise. They come over for dinner, breakfast before school, that type of thing. But breaking into the Asian family, like we were all loving on my mom's side. Even on my dad's side of the family, which is predominantly all white, it was like we would still very loving. How are you? Hugs, kisses. Breaking into my wife's family, though, was like I started giving my mother-in-law hugs and kisses. She was like, the reaction, I kid you not, was, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
It was that feeling of
we don't touch each other.
Yeah. And the funny part was it was probably, it took us about a year to kind of break bread, I guess, with my in-laws. But then after after another couple of years, I started giving her hugs and kisses all the time. And then it became okay. And then she would do the whole French thing where she'd go side cheek kind of thing, right? But it took a while to get there. And even in the beginning, my my sister-in-laws, would go like, "Hey, like, why are you kissing our mom?" And my wife's like, that's just like what he does. And then it's like, well, like mom thinks it's kind of weird. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but that's like who I am. That's what we do. Like, and she's
that gesture, that greeting.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Cause when you look at cultures that do that, it's a lot of like the Latin cultures, right? It's very warm. It's hugs, kisses. And then you go on the Asian side, it's like bowing or, whatever. Like it's
don't
not,
touch me. Yeah.
It's not warm like that.
No.
Yeah.
And I think it depends because there's a lot. Because even with ours, I remember when there's a picture that we have where my dad's holding me as a baby and he's holding like this.
That's just a male thing, bro.
Yeah.
That's a male dude who's like doesn't know what to do.
He's like,
This
I
is
had
like
another kid.
Mom is like,
so small. I don't know what to do. Like,
Oh, he's like, damn, I had another one. Like you said, 4 kids. Oh my God. How am I going to do this?
I was for me, all my pictures is like I'm passed out, my kids on my chest laying because I was so calm for my kids.
it's
My
like you
kids
just
were
found a
always so
dinosaur
good.
egg or something. Just like, what is this?
And my dad later on, since I moved to Texas, me and my dad have really gotten a lot closer because he left when he was when I was in 8th grade. And like
He's
I said,
here though, right?
He's here, yeah, in Texas.
In
Grapevine.
Okay.
No, sorry, Grand Prairie. So when he came up here, he came and visited a couple times like that, with me and my kids, and he's kind of seen them. And until he actually came down here, when we're living, he's coming to my house, and he just kind of saw me interacting with my kids and everything like that. And I remember and it was hard for him still to this day because he was never that loving. Everybody, my grandpa was just hard old man that used to walk in the hood, flip flops on down to the store, and nobody would mess with him in Dallas. That's how it was. And he had all the boys. All my dad's brothers were like Marines, and they were all in the military. 5 of them, and they grew up in this strong household. You got to be a man kind of household, and which is okay. And I understood it because they were all tough and they all did what they needed to do. My dad, now he's been watching me and everything, and he was watching me with my kids, and I can tell he was watching a little bit more this day. And then I had to go drop him off, and Miles had to go somewhere, and Naomi had to go somewhere. They're like, Dad, can we go do this? Can we go do this? And I remember when I was young, if I would have went there, boy, you don't need to go down there. Go get your bike and go ride down there, go walk or something like that. But I was like, yeah, let's go. Boom. We jumped in the car, and I dropped him off, and it was like, hey, see you later. And then Naomi goes, and I was like, I love you, give her a kiss and stuff like that. And my dad's watching me. He goes, he said, man, you're a good dad. You're a really good dad. And I know the way that he was saying it meant so much. And he was even having a hard time saying that, because he was kind of comparing himself to me because he was like, and then he started to say it afterwards. He was like, yeah, when I was growing up, I never really learned how to do that. And, I think I wasn't kind of right. And he was trying to get the word out. And I was like, Dad, I understand, man. I said, we have this time together to get to learn and to be able to get a better relationship. So that's why I moved down here. So I'm not going to go all the way back there to like counsel myself and get over this hump. I was like, man, I don't need that. I understood where you were at, 27 years old, 4 kids. I know you still love us and loved us, but you just didn't know how. So I was like, I understand that. You don't have to explain it to me now. And I learned it from my kids because I know how hard it could be. I can't even be away from my kids at all. If I miss something, it just tears me up. So I understood where he was coming from, and I was like, all right, man, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I have a little bit of that same thing with my mom because my mom and I, once my parents got divorced, it was just button heads. I just wanted to go live with my dad. But I went and lived with my mom for years, and we finally I was like, hey, I have enough, man. I need to get out. And I was only, I think, 11 or 12 at the time. And literally just had to go, had to leave. I couldn't stay with her anymore. And now, my dad's passed since I was 26 and I have kids now, and just trying to I had to swallow my ego because there was so much of me that wanted to say I've done everything else without you. I don't need you in my life right now. But then I had to not be selfish and think to myself, I got my kids. They got one grandparent left. They have great grandparents, but they've got one grandparent left, and it's important to me. Yeah. So it's important that, that they get to meet her. And then plus she's been remarried. I love her husband. She's been married for 30 years, with him, and he's absolutely amazing. He's actually probably the reason why we're so close is that relationship with him and I has built over the years. And that's a big reason why I've been able to kind of rekindle the parent relationship with my mother. Because, man, when we talk about, mothers or I got into this whole that beginning conversation about how my son talks to his mom, like when about sports. There's kind of the roll the eyes. Okay, yeah, I got it, and that feeling of I don't want you to feel that way about your mom. Like it should never be that way. You should always take what she has to heart and have a conversation with her about it. I had that a lot with my mom because it was just not. There was always something that just it just wasn't brought up right. It was constant pounding, constant beating of just not this, not that. You're doing this wrong. And so I have these conversations with my wife as well about, trying to stay on the positive side, not the negative side. Try to talk to them in ways that you want to hear his opinion, not talk down to him or talk at him, and that's hard because as a parent, you have that feeling of that you feel the need to tell them like, hey, you could have done this, this, and this, but let them speak, let them talk about what they saw, and I guess to go off topic a little bit, back on last night, we were driving, we set goals for my son at lacrosse practice. He got in there and it just so happened that the drills they were doing were exactly what we were talking about on the way there. We get in the car and I said, hey, why didn't you do anything that we talked about? The goals that we set, like literally 10 minutes before we got out of the car. He's like, I got in there. He's like, and then I just felt like I didn't want to do them. And then he just started crying. He's like, I don't know. I just didn't want to do it. And I said, okay. Look, we had a long weekend of practice. We had a long weekend of a tournament. It was good. You know what? You had fun tonight, but we got to get on track. He was throwing his stick in the air. He was BSing with the boys. Like you could tell they had a long weekend of lacrosse. I'm like, so I didn't beat him up over it. I said, son, I'm not yelling at you. I'm not mad at you. I'm not, I go, but we set a goal and you decided in the beginning of practice, like, I don't want to do it. Okay. We'll tell yourself that. That's fine. Why are you upset right now? Because he was crying. He just couldn't get out. I'm like, you're upset because you know that we had goals set and you decided that it wasn't worth your time. So what are we doing here? And so that was a good conversation, but I also said, I'm not mad at you. I love you. And look, we're going to have those days. Tomorrow's a new day. We have a tournament this weekend. Maybe it was good for you to get it all out of the way now. But my wife and my mom, my wife and my mom, they have somewhat similarities in the way that my mom used to talk to me. My wife sometimes talks to him. And so I see it a little bit. I don't know, as a parent or as a father, like I have to take her aside and talk to her about it, which we've done. But also too, take him aside, because if you try and do it in the middle with the two of them there, it's just not, it's counterproductive.
100%. As we have this conversation, I'm thinking my wife can't connect with my kids on the sports level the way I can, but I can't connect with them on many levels that she's able to. When I see how she interacts with them and in her zone, so to speak, right? Like I see them doing arts and crafts together, watching movies. They're doing all these things together that I don't, like that's her power. You know what I'm saying? Like that's her superpower, is her ability. Like my son looks at me and will be like, Dad, what do I, let's go figure out how to get better at sports. And he'll ask me certain things. We have our things that we do together. And then I see the kids with their mom and they're on a different level with all this other stuff. So I think that's where that balance comes in, and I'm grateful to have it. But yeah, we oftentimes focus so much on, because we love sports and it's made us who we are, and it's been a foundation for us. But there's so many other aspects of being a kid, like, just goofing around with mom. Like she's able to do things like I can't do that. I don't do that. I don't know how to do that.
Do you allow them to goof around with mom? All
the time. They love it. Like they love it. I think they need that balance. Like, like last night, I'm just watching
any roughhousing. Sorry to interrupt, but any roughhousing? Like, do you allow the roughhousing with mom? Can mom pick them up and body slam them?
Yeah. Like they because mom will still be like, oh, I'm going to show you. while I still can, mom still has a little bit of athletic. No, she's in great shape actually, but she's just trying to let the kids know she's still got it. but she can just connect with them on levels that I can, and I think it's a good thing. I'm not insecure about it. I just look at it and I appreciate it. I can't do that arts and crafts session, man. You know, and that's just one of many things she's able to do, and they love it. They're like just kids again. You know, it's not like, you know, you're on the field or on the court, just drilling into them, get better. You know, you want this, and they're just having fun, coloring and cutting stuff up and going to watch these movies that I to be honest, don't want to watch. So,
do you let when they were younger, did you let your kids roughhouse with their mom?
I don't know if we were really into that, because I had
would they ever wrestle with mom or like?
No,
No?
I don't think she wasn't really like that. She would goof around with them, but not really wrestle.
Got it.
And I think it's important for me, because you guys are in that 2-parent households, that single parent household. I think it's a big, huge deal that a lot of parents right now, because they're split apart. Because I talk to people all the time, and they see me with my ex, and they're like, "This is crazy. How is she like?" Because we do stuff together and everything like that. And I try to tell other people, if you split apart and you're not with your kids, swallow your pride, because it's really important for those kids. I mean, because at the beginning when we first broke up, there was a lot of like back and forth. And then one day in my anger, because I wasn't looking at anything else, I looked at my kids, and I can almost feel that tension, like they were scared inside and nervous inside, because the kids, they love their mom no matter what, and they're going to love their dad. And there are those two roles. And when you said like when they go and do stuff with their mom, I love that. Yesterday it was their mom's birthday. So we went over to the house, brought her some gifts and stuff like that. And they stayed with their mom. And I sat back and kind of looked at their interaction with their mom. And I was like, I really like that.
it's different, right?
It's different because like me and Miles were watching football. Naomi's in there. She even likes football because we're watching football. We play like games and stuff like that. We went over to their house yesterday, and their mom was cooking, and Miles was helping her cook, and Naomi was doing this, and I was like, this is a whole different household.
Yeah.
But it's good, and I was very happy. Like my son makes me proud a lot just because how he is. He just won some award at the school for just being the student. Like they pick one student out a month or something, and Miles won it. So I was like, damn, bro, you're actually doing good in school too. I said, all right, man, like what do you guys want to do? Let's go out to eat. And then Naomi won like the player of the game for last week in a basketball game. They got killed, but but Naomi was doing really well. So when they went over to their mom's house, it was just like, all right, I like this. I like the balance. I like that they have that side.
Their own thing.
Yeah.
Right?
And I let them do their own thing. But and she always knows, like Crystal knows, because we have a good relationship. If something happens, she'll call me up. She's like, Miles is getting too big, because Miles is like taller than her now. So even though she's on him and she knows he'll back down to her, she still has that feeling of he's too big. He's a big kid. Like I can go so much, I'm not going to hit him or anything like that, because she doesn't fear that he's going to do something back to her, but it's still like an intimidating thing for him being bigger. So she'll call me up, and I'm okay with that, because I know how to talk to Miles. And right now, I think until he graduates, I think I'll still be bigger than him, and I'll still be able to beat him up. But there's just that balance, and I think it's very important. Like we do everything with sports, and I'm really under them in sports. Their mom's on them about their grades. Like she is on it, like nonstop. So I'm like, all right, you take care of that, and I'll take care of this, and then make sure that they get everything going in school, that they get everything down, and I'll make sure they're in their sports and everything like that, and we'll talk at times. So she'll let me know, yeah, Miles is doing great here. I want to get him a tutor, or Naomi this, and then we have those talks back and forth. So I think it's a good partnership, and I think a lot of times when people are not together, single parent households, they're so upset with the ex that they're not doing right by their kids by having that fight with their kids, or parents not letting them go see their dad, or whatever reason, because the child's, whatever it is. I think it's so important that parents just start saying, okay, listen, it's not about us, and let's make it about the kids. And then we can figure out the differences in money and time and all that stuff on the back end. But it's so important for those kids, because you can't have those kids looking at it as like, I can't talk about this time, I can't talk about that time. Because I did that at one point when my ex got married. Came over and we were driving somewhere. Oh, what'd you guys do over the weekend? They were like, oh, well, we just so. And the problem is that my ex's husband taught him how to shoot, and they did fishing and stuff like that. And then Crystal ended up telling me, yeah, this is what we did. I was like, why did you guys talk about that? They were like, oh, well, we just didn't. I was like, no, it was a big deal. You guys had a good time with it. I said, look, I'm not against your mom's husband. Like, I'll show you guys, like, we can get together, we can be friends, because I always say it takes a village to raise kids, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So everybody around you want to have good people around you. So I was like, man, I'm not like that, guys. I said, I respect him. He respects me. We're all together here. So yes, you guys can have fun. I want him to teach you how to shoot. I can't. I want him to teach you how to fish. I can't, you know? So we're getting a positive from that. So let's just leave it at that. Don't feel that you can't talk to me about anything. All of it.
Yeah, you'll see videos online of like the dad will drop the kids off or whatever at the mom's house, or the mom will drop the kids off at the dad's house, and they're there in their pajamas. And you're like, wait, you didn't get them dressed? You know, we have an event. No, they got clothes at your house. They got to wear your clothes. You're like, damn, like that's set. And like, and these kids, they know, they're standing there with like a bag in pajamas or their backpack, and they're like, yeah, get them ready for school. And you're like, wow.
Yeah, they're just pawns in this game. Like you said, it's not even about the kids. It's always this power struggle or these battles that are going on between the exes, the parents. So yeah, that's a whole nother.
Well, that's like one of the biggest reasons why my mom and I were like this is if I ever needed anything, go ask your dad. He don't pay child support. And then my dad would show me, he's like, here's the check. It's like, this is the cancel, like, this is the cash, this is the canceled check. Like, this is everything. Like, I see everything. And, you know, my CPA is also my uncle, which was my dad's CPA. And he's like, look, here's on when the computer spreadsheets first came out. See, this is the payment made. This is the payment received. So it became this thing. Like, you keep telling me you want new cleats, you want new wrestling shoes. Well, go ask your dad. He don't pay child support. All that did was throw a wedge. So then I lost complete respect for my mom at the time. And then what happened was the rest of the family would start doing it. Oh, because she would tell them. And when you tell something that much, that often, you start to believe that it's true. I'm like, man, this is not true. Like, I see it on one side because they're showing me, and then I see it I'm hearing it on the other side. So that's what one of the biggest problems was. And it took me a long time to finally just bury that with my mom. That was probably the number one thing that drove us apart. And so I told myself that if anything ever happened with my wife and the kids and we weren't together, I'd be like, I would never say anything bad about her. I remember my dad telling me, I was staying with my grandmother one time, and I mouthed back at her, and he's like, get your shit and get out of my house. He's like, you're a big boy now? You think you can talk to my mother that way? And in my mind, it was like, he's like, you don't ever disrespect your mother. And he always stood up for my mom, no matter what she said about him. And he's like, you don't respect my mother? You don't respect your own mother. Like, you get out of my house. You want to act like a big boy and talk that way? You can get out. I moved out for 2 days, lived on someone's couch, and they're like, hey, you got to go back home because I can't have you here on my couch. Right? You think you're big until you're staying at a friend's house. It's like, bro, come on. My mom and dad are asking me when you're leaving. So yeah, but it was the driving wedge. When you see parents that are that way, I'm like, all you're doing is causing that kid to wake up every morning and go, man, can't wait to get out of this house. That's one. Two is, man, you're toxic. Like, later on in life, they're going to realize how toxic their parent was.
They get anxiety. Kids get anxiety when they have to go through that stuff, man. I used to always say, when I was fighting with my ex, a common quote that kept coming to me was like, you're drinking poison and hoping she dies. Mm-hmm. And when you do it with kids, you're drinking poison, you're giving your kids the poison also, and you're hoping that she dies. Your anger for her is tearing you up.
Yeah.
And it's tearing at them also. It's not doing anything to her. She doesn't even know it half the time. They just hang up the phone, whatever. So you got to stop doing that. There's so many, man, I talk to so many people right now that they're going through it with their exes, and they're like, I hated him, he did this, he did that. And I was like, stop saying him. You guys are not together anymore. And for guys, I'm saying, and I'll say it on record, guys, do more. Because women are, like, you guys are very fortunate to have your wives here with you guys. Like, even today when I came up this morning, I was like, damn, man, I have so much to do when I get home right now. And I was like, man, I wish I had a partner to help me out with this. I mean, because it's very important. It's just hard. You know, as a single father, I try to get it cleaner, get it this, get it that. But if we had somebody, and I'm not saying get a wife so she can just clean the house. I'm saying we can split stuff and we can get a lot more done. So it's harder. So those women that have these kids, I have a lot of respect for them. And it took me a while because I was a meathead little kid. But I'm trying to tell guys, you know, if you're not with the woman that you're with and you have a kid with them, like, take care of her like she was your kids.
Can I ask you a question? You just said single father. Do you look at yourself as a single father or a single man? Because you co-parent, you said many times, you guys co-parent very well.
I'm a single man.
So there would be a difference, right? Like if you was just you with no help with her and her with the kids, then I would consider that being like a single father. I think a lot of mothers, they go, I'm a single mother. You know, for all the single mothers out there on Father's Day, they like to throw that out there. Every single mother out there. I'm
like if they're what was me kind of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look at it a little bit because I do call myself a single father, and I look at it because in my household I am a single father. So there's a lot that I have to do over my household, and I have dependents outside of my household. So yes, I feel like I am a single father, but I'm a single man at the same time. However you want to look at it. I think that the term is just very loose because I don't have anybody to help me. I don't get any help whatsoever. So and going from job to job, like I just switched over and kept working. I was like, I'm going to keep working because it's not just me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying anything against her, but if she stopped working right now, I would just pick up the pace a little bit more. She doesn't have to support me. She really doesn't have to support the kids if she doesn't want to. So it makes it a little bit more challenging for me because I know the role that I have as a father and as a man. I'm there to provide. So I do look at myself as a single father because I've never really had anybody so much help me. Mm. So, I mean, and then I can see on the woman's side too. You can have, because I seen there was a post where they talked about that before, where they're like, you're not a single woman, you're not a single mother, you're a single woman. Mm. And I get what he was trying to say, but still, when you have your own household, even if you're getting help, you're still having to really work. Because I help out my ex a lot, but she still has to go through a lot. She still has to juggle going to work, coming back, feeding the kids, and everything like that. Yes, money can help out a little bit, but it's not going to bridge the gap on all that. She still has a lot of stuff to do. She has to wake them up in the morning. It's still being that mother by herself in a household where she's having to run this ship. Money can't just take over the reins of the ship and run on its own. So I think if you have a household where it's just you and your kids, I think you consider yourself as a single parent.
Got it. I mean, we started the conversation about this whole thing with Michael Chandler, talking about having his dad there, getting emotional about that. But I guess I wanted to go back to you because you played, like I said, you played volleyball at a high level. Parents weren't as active, I guess, coming to your games and stuff like that. Not really understanding.
No, we just never had that kind of connection. We weren't friends.
But do you? Is that something you're like in your mind, go, look, I need to be at every single thing. I want to be at everything? Or
I genuinely enjoy it. I don't make a conscious, like that doesn't, I genuinely enjoy it. And so I want to be there. The best part of my day is going to practice, right? Like you sit down and you're like, man, I've been waiting all day for this. This is like a great way to end the day. I'm going to watch my son, my daughter struggle, get through it, hopefully problem solve, but most importantly, have fun. But it's not a conscious thing. Like I don't resent my parents. I don't say like, I'm going to be better.
No, it's not a better thing.
No, I'm going to grow up different because I'm very grateful for what they did do for me. I just can acknowledge how I want to be and be different. And I genuinely enjoy this. I love spending time with them. I'm not trying to make up for things that I didn't have. I'm just trying to be better though. But no, it doesn't fuel me, but I acknowledge it. Like you said earlier, Bob, you understand it. And I think having that understanding is important because that helps clarify things, right? Yeah. That doesn't create like this, this void or these, I don't have this internal struggle where I'm like, man, why didn't they do this or that? I understand why, who they are and why they raised me the way they did. And I'm grateful for it, but I'm going to do it a little different.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's funny you said that because I was just having that conversation the other day with my cousin in Nashville. And I was like, man, and he feels a little bit differently. Like he's so ingrained into his work. But for me, I'm like, I can't wait until, 5 o'clock comes around when the kids get out of school and we have an early dinner. And then I'm ready. Like, okay, I'll take you, you take her. Okay. I'll take her today. You take him. Like, I don't know. I enjoy that moment. I mean,
It's the best.
yeah, it's like you get there, and then the parents are all sitting on the sidelines. The ones you're close with, you guys have been chopping it up. Like, hey, we missed you this last weekend, and we'll see you next weekend. Like, we'll see you on Thursday. I don't know. It's
I know, but you're like fighting these parents, bro. So I don't. I don't think it's the same for us. Bobby and I show up, and
Yeah, we sit back.
I never
We
almost
chill.
fought anyone at a game
no,
yet. Josh is like,
no.
he's
These
still got some left, man.
no.
That's
I
all
got
that
nothing
means.
left. I got nothing left. Got nothing left. You know, what's funny is, look, if I was your guys' height, then some of these parents wouldn't try to fight me. But if I was, what are you, 6'3", 6'2", 6'3"?
Yeah,
You're
like
6'3", 6'4".
Yeah, like-
Come on, guys. Come on.
But instead, it's like, oh, Kellen's dad. Man,
yeah,
that
no,
guy.
that guy.
He's aggressive.
I'm the most quiet parent on the side, and I only talk to my kid. I don't talk to other people's kids at all, unless I'm saying good job. That's it. I only talk to my kid. So,
It's exciting here, man. It's exciting with sports. I go to my kids' games just for pure excitement too. Like, I enjoy going. I really enjoy going. I did go just because, you know, I didn't have that support when I was young. So that is in the back of my head. But ultimately, I love going. My daughter's playing basketball, 8th grade girls basketball. It's it's hilarious, but it's great, and she has a great time doing it. I can see she's focused, dribbling the ball down the court. So it's exciting. But then football here,
Yeah.
man, football here is like, I like football better than pros. I like high school football better than pros. Right now, it's like Prosper is amazing. All
Yeah.
these teams are just in 6A. The top 10 teams are undefeated. Like, that's how deep it is. These kids are really, really good.
yeah, Walnut Grove's got a good. I think they're 8-1 or something like that. I think they're 8-1. They'll be in the playoffs for sure.
They'll have
but-
Wakeland second round.
Yeah. They didn't want Wakeland first round. They if they would have fell to the
Really?
4th seed, now they're the 3rd seed. So that's why they have you in the second round. But they got to get past the first round. But yeah, they would have had you guys first round.
but
They would
they
have
have-
Wakeland first round had they lost last week to Flower Mound, I think is who it was.
Yeah,
Because they lost. Their one loss was to Anna.
Wakeland wasn't doing good at the beginning, but at the end they started kicking in. They beat Lone Star, and they kept rolling. They're looking a lot better. So it's kind of exciting. So my son played JV this year, but he's going to be able to bump up to varsity for the last couple games and suit out. Maybe a little playing time in, but it's just it gets him motivated because we're all into we're into it. We're vested into it completely. But then right afterwards, I'm excited about track season because track season, both my kids are going to be running track, and we love going to the games, man. It's just I love seeing them just set goals and excel and go crazy. Did you guys see? I got to send you guys. Did I send you guys the Bo Bassett video that I did?
No.
I
I've
watched it yesterday.
Okay.
He put it on you, bro.
Oh man, that
He
kid
put it on you.
crazy. By the time we started wrestling, I was like, I was dead the first hour of practice, man. I don't know how those kids do it. It's like crazy. But I asked him, and I told his dad, and like I told you guys, his dad wanted to call in and maybe have a discussion with us also because his dad's, I was like, man, I think you should talk to some other dads also because of what you're doing. He has 3 kids, 9th, 10th, and 11th. They're all going to be state champions. Yeah. They're all national champions. One Fargo. Fargo's a huge thing. Yeah. You have 3 kids like that win Fargo, that's unheard of. You got to be doing something right. So, and I asked Bo, I was like, man, you know, off the record, is your dad pushing you guys a little bit too hard? He goes, no, we love it. And on top of it, my dad's my biggest inspiration, my driving force. He's like, man, my dad, he does it with us. He's down there in the trenches with us. We wake up at 5 o'clock. He's there with us too. He said, it's something that we do together. He said, wrestling is just something that we do together. We've gotten good at wrestling because it's something that we do together and we enjoy doing. It's not like we have to wrestle because we're going to be better. It's we get to do stuff together, and it's a. He said, I like the grind. He said the wins and losses we don't think about that. They happen because of the work that we put in. And I'm sitting there and I'm listening to him, and I talked to his dad the same way. And man, I was like, man, this household is amazing because we talked about the moms, and I asked his mom because I interviewed the mom and dad at one time. And I was like, what's mom's role in this? She was like, I'm there for support, you know. I know what they're doing. I try to support them in everything that they do. So when I go to tournaments, I just sit up in the stands. She said, I'm super nervous inside, but I never let it show because that's what we try to do as a team. And I was like, man, this family is just incredible. But it's like, that's what we need for our kids. is just that support. Just show them you support them. And then on top of it, let's I think as parents, we need to get out there and start doing stuff with our kids. I think
absolutely.
It's very important for our kids to see us humble ourselves and not be good at something, you know?
Yeah.
Just go out there and just try and have fun with them, because they see that, and then now they're not so shy to go take those risks. You have to take risks in order to be successful.
Don't be afraid to lose to your kids.
Yeah.
Like, don't let them win, but don't be afraid to lose to them. I've known a lot of parent dads that have checked out. Like, it's getting too close. I'm just going to step away now. No, man, let it be.
That you're doing your job.
Yeah, let it be. I don't understand that.
Well, the only man that should want you to be better than him is your father.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I know we talked about that before. I really enjoyed when you talked to the parents, and I saw, they work out. It's the dad's facility, right? At his office.
And in their house.
So they have all that going on. And I liked earlier we touched on, there's so many really successful people that we look up to, that we admire, that we know, and they come from really tough, there's usually something, there's some pain, or there's something, that chip on the shoulder that's driving them. So it was really refreshing and great to see that not only are these kids really successful, but they also come from a loving home, because a lot of times we're, like I've been touching on it quite a bit this session, but man, that happiness, can it still produce somebody with drive and hunger and determination? And they're proof that it can, right? Because the parents are there every step of the way, and it's a loving home. Like, you could see in their eyes, they're happy kids. It's not like, oh, my dad forces me to do this. So I'm like, man, that's really cool that it's natural. Yeah. It's not this forced thing, and the family's very involved.
Did you ask him, like, what was the age that he was kind of like started grinding with them, or what was the age that he had them all three together in the room? Because there comes a time, like, sure, you can come in but the schedule at 5 a.m., when did that start? When they were middle school?
I didn't ask when that started, but I know that he built that compound, because he built a compound, and it's just basically half a wrestling match. And then on the other side, it has like monkey bars and ropes and a whole bunch of stuff like that. So he built a training facility. So he's always been in that training world. Like, he liked to work with kids. They were at a private school. So he was a wrestling coach. He said that when I asked Bo, I said, when did you start, and when did you feel like this is what I want to do? And he said, I was like 6 years old. He said, when I was like 6 years old, I got into this, and I went through the first practice, and it was so fun. He said, my dad made it. It was just so fun. It was like me and my dad, and we get to do this stuff. And he was so excited about it. You could truly see the excitement in his eyes when he was talking about it. And then his dad said he would always just do stuff. When we were at practice, because I went through their whole practice with him, dad had his sweats on and was moving around. Of course, coaching, he can't be in there drilling and stuff. But, he was active. He wasn't just sitting there with a whistle with a big belly saying, do this. You could tell his dad was in shape. His dad was out there, going through the trenches with him when they would do push-ups and abs. He would get in there sometimes with him and just show them, like, hey, I'm with you guys. This is a journey. They were having fun with it. And Bo told me, he's like, man, my dad's practice is tough. He said, but it's exciting, And I think as a coach, that's your responsibility. You have to make it exciting for these kids. If you enjoy what you're doing, you're going to want to do it more. You're going to want to get better at it. And he just had that, man. He really figured out how to be able to do that. Because I talked with all three of his boys, and it didn't seem like any one of them was like, yeah, man, we got to get up at 5 a.m. It was like, man, 5 a.m, we get to go down there and do this. Everything was a privilege. Yeah, they really wanted to do that, and he was like, it was so cool. Now, on the flip side, it's like, if your dad was involved with you like that, and something happened, and your dad wasn't there anymore, do you follow out that same path? Because we've seen that before with different people, and I think that he just really ingrained some great qualities with that kid. I said, why are you better than everyone else? And I always ask these kids that, because being a phenom kid is always hard. And I tell them off camera, I'm like, look, I'm going to ask you a couple questions. I don't want the modest you. I want you just to be able to talk, because it's true. Because I asked this kid that his goals, winning Worlds next year. So if you win Worlds next year, that means you have to win Fargo. So you already see yourself winning Fargo. I said, Bo, do you understand that if this kid would have placed 8th at Fargo, his parents would have probably bought him a steak dinner, new car, new bike, everything like that. They would have celebrated at school. They would have had a parade, everything like that. And he was like, really? I was like, dang, you're that elite that
Yeah.
8th place is like a complete failure
I mean,
to you.
he already beat a national champ
Yeah.
in high school.
Yeah. And it's just how he went about doing things. I was like, man, your dad has, because I always wanted to do that Coach Your Kid program, which we are going to do. And I really want to get into that because I want to teach parents how to engage with their kids to make their kids better. You know, because we try to do it across the board. But I think with Coach Your Kids, we being athletes and we've been at a high level, we've worked with some amazing trainers and we have all these little tidbits that we can be able to throw in and show parents, you know, from ladder drills to just stuff that we had talked about. Like, it's really important, I think, for parents to be able to go out and do those things with their kids. And that's what this guy was doing, but he just kept going. He's really involved in these kids' lives.
Josh, you have to see it. Bobby, I watched it.
Yeah.
I did. You know who
I'll take a
supports you.
I'll send it to
No,
you.
but Josh,
Man,
you will want to watch it just because Bobby is completely gassed and him and Bo go at it. And I'll just let you.
I'm gonna
from there.
I'm gonna screen share it. I'm gonna like screen save it and I'm gonna post it up on my IG. This is
I was tripping out, man. I was
Gassing
like,
out.
holy yeah.
I wanted to, like, the first hour of practice, I was already dead. And I was like, so we got another hour and a half because we got another hour of strength.
That was just the warm up.
And then after that, we got to go drilling for about 45 minutes. And then we wrestle. I was like, I'm laying down around. I'd changed my t-shirt like 2 or 3 times because it was soaked.
I saw when you guys started wrestling, you couldn't even move.
I couldn't
We
even-
all know that feeling of just you're done, but you got to
Man.
try and this kid, he's got nothing but he could have wrestled all day, huh?
Yes. And here's what I like with it that I was learning, because I was taking notes on his dad, you know, because I'm like, you have 3 superstar kids. What are you doing right? So I'm thinking about it. I was like, man, he talks about this machine gun mentality. I said, what's the machine gun mentality? Because he was posting it on his Instagram as a hashtag. And I was like, what is that? He was like, well, you know, and he's all excited the whole time when he's talking about stuff. He was like, you know, most people take one shot and it's like either sink or swim. He said, but ours is we take as many shots until we succeed. It's a constant, relentless pursuit. He said, I like to be able to start a match, you know, in a regular end, and then I take somebody into those deep waters, and that's where we excel because we're used to that. And I was like, geez, like I wanted to go do so. I was like, what can I accomplish? I was like, man, you got a kid like this that his dad has motivated him so much that he can be in a place of coaching adults and motivation and just getting them going. And then at practice, I think it's really important that we constantly throw these little things for our kids to think about so that they can learn. In practice, we were going, he was like, one bad technique is, and everybody was, too many. He said, one bad technique is too many. And then he said, and then the coach said, you guys, he said, what do I mean by that? He said, because one bad technique is too many. Because if you say, for example, you say, all right, I want to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and that's when I'm going to start my workout. You set that as what we're going to do. This morning you wake up, oh man, I'm tired. I don't want to do it today, so I'm not going to do it. What you're saying is that's not important anymore. That's one time, it's too many. If you set your mind to do something, do it every time. So that consistency is very important. And that's what he was talking about. When you go out there and you train, you want to take a good shot. You want to do it every time good. So that consistency. And man, everything that he was throwing at me, I was like, you guys are in the right place right now. I said, this kid's going to be very, very hard to beat. I know Cormier has this guy and they're going to be going back and forth, but I don't even think they're in the same weight class. They're really not.
Zapata, right?
Zapata.
Zepeda's not, they're not in the same weight class. I think because, and he told me, and it wasn't nothing knock against him or anything like that, but it's different weight classes. In the Super 32s, you weigh in one time. Worlds and all those, you have to weigh in multiple times. Now with Zepeda can cut all the way down to get to him, but he can't maintain that weight throughout the whole tournament, I don't think. That's why he wrestles a little higher. Zepeda's amazing. I'd love to be able to go interview him too. But it's just awesome learning from these kids. And right now, all the kids that I've interviewed, because I've interviewed I think 5 or 6 now, every one of them, their parents are very, very, very involved in their life. That's why I'm almost wanting to see if I can find a kid such as myself or us that really didn't have the parents there. It's like they're doing it all on their own for whatever reason it is.
You know, what made me feel like that you always need to be present with your kids at their practices, all those things, is when I was younger, I used to watch the Olympics. And the Olympics were huge in our family, right? Back in the day. And you would always see the mom, the dad, the grandmother, the sister, the brother, all cheering for this person, right? Like, didn't matter if it was a female diver or a female swimmer or a male wrestler. It didn't matter. They were all there to support. Now, I know the Olympics is a huge deal, but you'd always see the mom and dad together. And to me, that was one of the biggest things. Like, look, you've got to make sure that you are trying to either co-parent if it's, or you're making sure that you guys are on the same page to give these kids success. But I guess to wrap this whole thing up and bring it around full circle, just give me your quick thoughts on how important it is for you to make sure that you're there at these events, whether it's at the baseball games, whether it's at practices. Like, what does it do for you, and what do you think it does for
I think for all of us, it's a little easier because we genuinely enjoy it. I know there's some people that really don't, and I'm not going to judge them, but I genuinely enjoy it. I enjoy being very involved in their lives in every aspect, not just sport. And to kind of, like you said, recap everything, that's not how I grew up. So I think we all have an opportunity to change and, be a different parent. And without looking back with anger or resentment at the way we were raised, we just want to do it different. So.
Same question.
Yeah. Well, yeah, for me, I think it's
like, what do you get out of it? And what do you think your kids get out of it? Like having you there and your ex there.
Well, right now I'm getting out of it is like my kids are almost my best friends right now because now I'm able to go lift with Miles and do different things. So I love it. But I think I brought these kids into this world and I want to have productive people in this world. I want to teach them how to be good people, hardworking people. And that's very important for me. So, and then I want my son to understand, because everything's a learning process. We're trying to teach our kids across the board. I want my son to understand and see how it is to be a man, whether you're in a relationship or not in a relationship. I treat his mom with a ton of respect, and he sees how I am to everybody else around me. And my daughter, I'm trying to show her how she should be treated. And I think that's very important for me because later on in life, I don't want my son looking, because you always see that there's like women who gravitate to guys that are similar to their dad, whether it's good or bad. And I want it to be good. I want my daughters to gravitate to a guy that is really a good person and that's going to help and support the family the way he should. And I hope to break the curse that I've had so long in my family. There's been like broken relationships all the way through. So I hope that my kids can say, you know what, I can live life a little different and maybe I will find somebody. Maybe I will have a household. Maybe I will have that family structure, because we try to give it as much as we can. I'm not with his mom, but when we go to games, we sit together at the games. We sit there and watch it. She's with somebody, they're there too. So they always see us kind of together. We have holidays, we do Christmas, we do Thanksgiving, we do all those together. His mom is still my family. So I want them to be able to know that family structure, that love, and somebody that has your back and they care for you. So that's all I want. And what I get out of it is just, I get some cool ass little people to hang out with.
It's the enjoyment for me. It's like the enjoyment of knowing that, like, my dad, had he been able to make every event, he would have. I remember him a couple of times being pretty upset that he was missing events that were important to him, but he also had to work. Like, mortgage had to be paid, groceries had to be bought, and he had to feed this kid. So it was one of those things that I look now at my own son. I'm like, man, if I have an opportunity to make it, there's just no way I'm not going to make it. I know my wife and we switch off. Like tonight, my daughter has soccer, so I'm going to take her to a soccer game tonight. It's her last game of the season, so I want to be present for that. And my wife will take my son to his practice. But, we do a good job of co-parenting. But for me, it's always been important to make sure that we can be there for every single thing. It's because I know that, like I said, if my dad could have made every practice, that he would have. And I wanted to make sure that I had the opportunity to do that. And that's what's important to me, is to be there for every single thing I possibly could be there for. So, hey guys, that's going to wrap us up. Leave a comment down below. I want to thank you guys so much for continuing to support us. Hit the thumbs up and the bell for notifications. I want to thank you guys. And Bobby Lashley, Rich Chow, another episode of the Dad Dojo.